Good evening, everyone. Lovely to see you. Still light outside again, still throwing me off. And we've got another packed show for you. The third of the 5 in April. So,
It is.
take us away.
Take us away. So, I'd like you to imagine, if you will, that you are highly skilled with a surfboard, right? And you are capable of riding a massive wave. Yeah. Now, surfer, get the right, so it's get the right bit on the end, stays on that wave, and all they can do is enjoy the ride. To a certain extent, it's not even about being in control because there's no way that you can get off. You just have to go with it and experience it and enjoy it and love it for every minute that you can as you go. And you know, that's quite an amazing analogy because that's exactly what our lives are. We're not actually in control. We never have been. We had a fixed starting point and we got a pretty fixed end point. And all those bits that go in the middle, we can have a bit of an effect on the way things work and we can take a bit of control, but to a certain extent, there's that spark, that life thing that makes us do our thing. And we have to enjoy the ride. So, on that idea, when was the last time that you actually stood and you went out of your front door and you either went for a walk or you got in your car and you had no fixed destination? You just went. You didn't have to be back in an hour, didn't have to be back in 2 hours, and you just followed your nose. Just went with it. Just let the things that happen without that conscious thought or the conscious effort. And whilst you did that, you actually were aware of everything that was around you. I'd hazard a guess it was probably more than a day or two ago. So just remember, we're on this amazing ride, and just occasionally, just go with it. Just go with the flow. Just step on that surfboard and let it take you with it for a while. Because you know, how many times do the things you need drop right in your lap when you let them?
Well,
So,
talking about letting things drop right into your lap and recording them in our case, we haven't quite had it drop into our lap with bees. We've been wanting to do a little section with our plant animal of the week about bees for about 3-4 weeks now. But filming bees is something to behold, and getting them to sit still on a plant, on a flower, on a petal, on a leaf, long enough so you can get a camera out and then try and run around the garden chasing it like it's chasing you has been an absolute nightmare. But we've managed it
got a little bit.
eventually.
But not only that, in the spring, I always find the flowers that are upside down and then go into those. So you can't get under the flower to see the bee. But
We've
we
got
have.
footage,
We've got some footage of
finally.
bees. And it's also an ode to the skimmer because the skimmer, you remember 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did the video in the garden and we showed you that new section that we just planted. It's the skimmer that saved us. We've got some bit of video with the hellebores, but just to put things into perspective, Gillian sent us a post across which we put in on the Simple Life page earlier. It's a bit about the plight of bees, but just this time of year, just think about how they go, because bees are a miracle anyway. All right, they are almost a living miracle. Physically, they shouldn't be able to get off the ground. You've got these dirty, great, big, chunky bodies. And have a look in the video when they settle on the flowers at the size of the wings, because those wings have to go like the clappers. And I
And they're
mean,
tiny.
seriously, go like the clappers, right? And, but not only that, they then set off, go find the flowers, they pack themselves full of pollen, yeah, and then they go and fly again. And quite often you'll find a bee sat on the path. They're not having a rest. they're completely knackered. Yeah. So think about it that way in the first instance. You know, you've heard the cliche of bees can fly. Well, they can, but especially at this time of year because it's only the queen that survives the winter. Okay. We're not talking honeybees here. We're talking bumblebees, which are the ones that we need to stay alive. Yeah. So there's only the queen alive at the moment. So she's not only collecting pollen, but she's building the hive, the nest. She's laying the eggs. She's looking after the eggs. And when they come out, she'll get them all started and feeding. Now it's all right once they've hatched and she's got helpers. But right now, the poor old queen has got to do everything. So let's enjoy the video. Check out the bees. Most of these are little white tails. And yeah, enjoy. Here we go.
We like bees.
We do. Having got nearly no film at all, suddenly discovered I had about 9 minutes. And it was kind of like we could have a 9-minute video on bees. And I can't thinking, no, we can't. The show's only an hour. And I wouldn't have any time to talk. But
a few things in the chat.
What have we got in the chat?
Brilliant. Great video.
Well,
music works well.
It's a bit busy. Do you know, I actually wrote down the name of it because it kind of really fitted. And, you know, I wrote it down and then I forgot it.
What is the plant with the white blossom?
That's a skimia. Skimia. It has red berries on it later in the year. But as I say, the video is as much a testament to the skimmier, I think, as it is to the bees that are taking the nectar and pollen from it.
What makes me laugh is the music works well in that one. The music also works well in a video in the next few weeks, which is coming. We won't spoil it too much, but there is.
No.
I mean, when I came home and it was partially edited and I was shown it, it did make me chuckle a little bit.
It is. Well, we've got a kind of special compilation because in 3 weeks I'm going to be in the Lake District and Ross is going to be here. So we're trying to kind of double up on the videos now so that that's all prepped for when we're away. So
you've got me here, and we're going to be at other ends of the country.
Yeah,
so
we're going to be broadcasting from multiple locations.
It's going to be good fun. What was the bed at the end?
The bed at the end.
I don't know. Should we have a rewatch?
Was that the one with the purple hellebore flowers? It could have been the hellebores. Hellebores have been fantastic. They've been in flower since probably February. It's still going strong now.
What was the bee at the end?
The bee.
Spelling mistake.
Oh, bee. Right. I think it's one of the solitary bees. One of the ones that tends to build the holes in their own in the ground. But I have to confess, I'm not 100% sure. Many of the bumblebees, you can actually tell the name of them. You've got red-tailed bumble because they got red tails. And then there's a buff-tail bumble because they got buff tails.
I think I know one here as well. White-tail bumble.
White-tail bumble.
Because he's got a white bum.
Because he's got a white bum. I mean, there's carder bees and various others, but one of the red-tailed bumblebees are one of the most common, one of the earliest to rise. Well, I haven't actually seen any this year yet, but yeah, you can just check them out. And the common bees are all named on the colour of their tail.
Wow. Following on from bees, we took a trip up to Faversham, and whilst we were there, we did a bit of filming at Gunpowdwer Park. Now, Gunpowdwer Park itself is entertaining to say the least. It's very popular where it is, and the car park's not very big. We managed to time it right, so we turned up as the car park was starting to fill up, but it just started raining, so lots of people decided to stay at home. But if you do decide to go to Gunpowdwer Park after watching our video, or you have been in the past, the visitor centre seems to be open once in a blue moon. Well, every time we've been, it's never been open.
No, I've never ever seen the visitor centre open. No.
So if you do get to go and the visitor centre is open, enjoy it, because we haven't ever been there. We haven't quite had that privilege.
But it's a kind of double whammy for us, because it fits into, obviously, going to see a country park, which we like to do, but it's also kind of got a huge element of nature reclaims, because it's named Gunpowdwer Park because it was a gunpowder factory where they used to make munitions for, I'd imagine, for the army, for things like that. And well, if we say too much, we're going to give away all the secrets in the video, aren't we? But I
think we best play the video.
Best play the video. So enjoy our little video of the Gunpowdwer Park. We had a good day.
Even with a little bit of rain involved.
Yeah, a little bit of rain's all right. We don't mind a little bit of rain. So. We've come to the Gunpowdwer Works Country Park near Faversham today. The site is an old gunpowder factory, and it's spread right the way through the park. So as well as having some fantastic wildlife habitats, there's lakes, woodland, we've also got a huge amount of history. In fact, the bit behind me that you can see there is the old oil store, which is why we've got that beautifully curved wall as you go. So we're going to take you on a journey around this country park. We're going to tell you a little bit about the history whilst we're here, but it's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to it.
can see behind me is the remains of the glazing house. Now in the glazing house, the granules of gunpowder, or technical term corns, were taken here on a boat. They were then powder punted and then put into tumblers where they would tumble, and then afterwards they were then given a lead or a graphite finish to protect them from water resistance. And the big wall, which is still standing behind me, was there to stop any blast damage if any of the gunpowder went off.
So this is the corning house where slabs of gunpowder were taken, made into corns and polished. Dirty great big wall behind me is put there just in case some of it went off and there was a bit of a big bang, for want of a better phrase.
Well, that's Gunpowder Park. Now, the video itself doesn't really do the place much justice, really. The place itself, um, the sheer size of some of it is you have to see it for yourself. Like the wall where they had it built up, so if any gunpowder went off, it's got holes in it where things have gone off in the past. It's it's filled with so much history, and you can when you walk around, you can almost feel the place working and the machines churning and workers there sorting out the gunpowder. It's not almost going there to visit; it's going there to relive what it once was.
It's an experience.
It is that. I mean, I've only ever been there twice. First time I went was with my mum a few years ago now, probably back in 2015, 2016.
3 times.
3 times. One of them I don't remember. I was about yay big on the first one.
It was my birthday and he was miserable.
And yeah, I don't remember much of it. But the second time that I went was with my mum. I would have only been 15 or 16 probably at the time. And how that place has moved on in the 3 or 4 years it's been, they've now got activities for the kids. So there's all the way around the park, there's these little key tags with QR codes on them, and you have to scan them and it tells you a clue. And then you have to guess where you've got to go next. And it all links in with Gunpowder Park itself. And it all links in with the different buildings and the names of the different buildings and what they were used for. So it's almost like a game for the kids, but it's almost educating them at the same time. And there's also a woodland walk around the top. We didn't do it when we were there, but there is a few footpaths along the top which takes you above all of the ruins that are there. But you definitely have to visit for yourself. It is truly an experience.
Yeah, you spend an hour or two walking around the place, and it's. I have to just I mean I've said it before on other videos. I love the kind of juxtaposition of archaeology and countryside, of industry and countryside, and I love the way that the two intermingle. You know, when we went to Pegwell Bay and you can see countryside taking back over, and you go to Gunpowder Park and you can see the countryside taking back over, and it's lovely to just gives you that message that, again, I was saying before, you know, we're not actually in control here. Nature is. We'll do our thing. We'll change things around. We'll build stuff. But when we go away, nature pretty much comes back and says, yeah, all right, you did your stuff. Now go away and let us get on with it. And I think that's quite important as people, just to acknowledge, which is huge.
There's a few things in the chat.
There's a few things we better address the chat.
I never knew it was there. I will certainly go there this year. I'd recommend going.
Yeah.
It's not the longest of trips you'll ever have. But it is worth it purely for being there, purely for just seeing everything for what it is and what it once was. It is so worth the trip.
I mean, I would, where if you like, we've had all the lockdown and people are using outdoor places, you probably want to try and go to as fairly early in the morning, because it does get quite, I mean, when we were there, the car park was rammed, but it is a place to just go and sit and just feel, because there's definitely history. You can feel that history that's there.
The place is alive with it. It is truly alive with history. And another one saying, really enjoyed the video.
Cool. Thank you.
Wow.
So, I mean, the other thing that also, just watching the video when we were there, just taking that time, we just watched a mute swan, and that was a mute swan. When they're on the water, I'm not quite sure why the mute swan there had its wings up in a kind of aggressive pose, but they have to be the most beautifully graceful of creatures, and they are really gentle and they're really smooth in the water, and it's one of those, I think we can learn a lot from watching swans, especially. They're beautiful birds.
I wouldn't want to pick a fight with a swan though.
No, although to be fair, I believe the story I was told as a kid that a swan flapping its wings can break your leg. It might well hurt, but apparently they're not really that strong, not quite that strong. But no, I wouldn't suggest picking a fight with a swan.
There's much easier animals out there to pick a fight with than a swan.
Mm.
Well, talking of animals easier to pick a fight with, let's talk about a couple of animals that are nesting, or birds that are nesting.
Birds.
Now we've got on our birch tree we have our bird box, and we didn't get to see beech. That's the one. Our beech tree. We have got a bird box, and we haven't seen a bird box being used. And it was Easter weekend, and I was sat in the garden, and I could hear a lot of politics going off. And then next thing I know, I looked up, and there's two sparrows sat on the fence. And then one of them went away. One of them came back with some straw and some twigs. Disappeared in a bird box. The other one watched guard. And from there, here's the video.
So yeah, we've embellished it with a couple of bits and pieces, and we also just if you need to grab a something to write with, because we've got Sparrow Quiz Part 2 after the video. So bit of a challenge this one, I'll tell you.
Well, here is some sparrows nesting.
it's incredibly hard. I actually had a soundtrack to that last little video, but you can imagine it, can't you? Feed me, Dad. Come on, Dad. Feed me, Dad. Feed me. No, look, look, look. The seed's on the ground, mate. Pick it up. No, I'm not picking it up. Feed me, Dad. Feed me, Dad. Dad, Dad. Feed me. Come on, come on, come on. No, sort yourself out. Look, it's easy. Bend over, pick it up, eat it. What more do you need? Sound familiar?
Sounds like my childhood.
Absolutely. God.
Well, no, I enjoy watching sparrows. They are such brilliant birds to just sit down and watch. I mean, sometimes it's like it's like watching a little love story. You get to see them go into the nest, and they make the nest, and then they leave, and then they're teaching the young in the patio, and then they're all having their politics over who gets what twig and who gets what leaf in the hedge, and then they all come back down, they'll feed again, and then something comes along and they go, oh, run, and then the cycle repeats, and
Scruffy's just come in and sat on Bruno,
all
who
right.
was asleep in front of me.
Our co-hosts have decided to have their own politics.
Yes.
Talking of politics.
So if we get a sparrow war reenacted on the carpet just here in a minute.
And that wasn't a mouse, that was a rat.
Small rat.
Small rat. Baby rat. That wasn't a mouse. As much as we'd like it to be a mouse, it was a rat.
Oops.
Oh. Are you two gonna stop being a pain?
This is Scruffy. Anyway, on with the show.
Well, sparrows themselves, their main nesting time, when they're most commonly known to nest, is between April and August. But they've been recorded, and people have found sparrows nesting all year round. So as much as they might commonly only do it between April and August, they are known to go round and round and round the whole year. Commonly, they'll lay 2 to 3 clutches per year. But if it's a good season and they think it's going well, they'll lay 4. Now, for those who don't know what a clutch is essentially a set of eggs, is the easiest way to describe it. But you might be asking yourself, how many eggs does a sparrow lay? Well, a sparrow lays 2 to 5 eggs per clutch. So if you imagine between April and August, you've got to have 4 births, and in those 4 births, you are having twins, triplets, quadruplets, or quintuplets 4 times between that amount of months. That's some serious mating.
That's some serious energy. That's some serious hard work, especially for a poor old mum who's got to make the eggs.
They've got to build the nest as well.
Well, unless they use box.
Unless they use the box, that is true.
But will you stop licking?
But once the chicks hatch
next to me,
they're in the nest usually for 11 to 14 days. That is their kind of growing up time, and they fledge the nest usually 14 to 16 days after hatching.
That's pretty rapid if you think about it. You come out as a little ugly thing, and you learn to stand up, eat food, grow a whole set of feathers,
fly.
Well, eventually, yeah.
And then you leave. Oh, deep breaths, is it, mate?
It is. Anyway, come on.
You must be so excited about sparrows. It's got to be.
It is. He obviously knows what we're talking about. Anyway, come on. Let's not be distracted.
And then they repeat that cycle. That cycle repeats 3, maybe even 4 times within those months. So it's never ending. And you think the amount of sparrows, I think the sparrows are probably the most common birds that I see. And that's probably because of having the big sparrow apartment, or as we call it, the hedge that we have in our garden.
And the food. Because sparrow numbers are actually dramatically down. They're about, I think they're 40-50% down what they were when certainly I was his age, because they were everywhere then. Whereas now, like we were saying with Skylark last week, they're locally common, but they're not common everywhere like they used to be. And I mean, one of the beauties of putting out food for them is, you are actually keeping the species alive. But as you're going to see in a minute, when we actually play the sparrow video, and there's one, it's a huge challenge. Can you count the number of sparrows? Yeah. Bear in mind that you can never count more sparrows than you can see at any one time, because otherwise you could end up counting the same sparrow twice. But I think this video gives you some idea of the sheer enjoyment that we get from having bird feeders at the back in the backyard out of the kitchen window, because the flock in winter is huge. You know, they get together as big family units in the winter, and then they kind of separate a little bit through the summer.
But what we've kindly done for you this evening is we've taken a pre-recorded video and we're going to show you it, because unlike doing the RSPB Birdwatch, they all just seem to decide at that moment they're all going to disappear from the garden. So when you sit down, and when I sat down to do it last time, I sat there for an hour and there was a pigeon and about one sparrow. As soon as I'd finished doing the RSPB Birdwatch, they all came back. There was about 25 of them at one point, all sat on the shed, on the log shed, looking at me going, nah, 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 nah. We came back an hour after you were doing that. Unlucky, mate. Better luck next year.
But it's like, it is, you know, I always say about working with animals and children. I've been trying to get some footage of blackbirds singing, and I've been having this kind of like hide and seek with a blackbird all week. Every time, you know, sitting at the top of the tree, singing away, and I get on my phone, and I'm ready to go, and he stops singing, or he flies away. Well, I actually got some video of blackbird this morning, so we'll have that one coming. Also, wren. Really trying hard to get a picture of some video of a wren singing. We had the wrens at the lakes, Conningbrook Lakes over in Ashford, but I actually want to get one of a wren singing because they're amazing little birds. But anyway, we're off task. How many sparrows can you count in this video?
Are we all ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So, answers in the chat, please, everyone. 23 at 35 seconds in. About 16, 18, 19, 17, 25.
Yeah.
I think that's about it.
Well, do you know, we don't actually know the exact answer. I've watched the video many times because, and obviously we watch the sparrows as well because we're biased and we love them and they're such good fun. But I have never, ever, 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 even in real life without camera and reducing picture qualities for Zoom or everything else, ever managed to count the actual number of sparrows. There's around about 25 to 30 in the flock most of the time. Obviously in the autumn that number goes up quite considerably because you've got all of that year's offspring that are fledged and are doing okay, and the number then falls off through the winter because they don't all make it. It's funny, it's quite a dramatic policy to try and actually, if you like, keep the number stable. Each adult only needs to have one surviving offspring to keep the population stable. So the fact that they're having 20 odd a year, each pair, means they're only really expecting 2 or 3 of all those birds to make it to breeding age the next year. So we get a great deal of fun out of it. We get a great deal of enjoyment from them. But it just goes to show, actually, there is a natural order out there, and it works really well. But when you're actually not expecting all of that many young, it's a good job that we only have a few when we expect them to survive.
Well, our co-host has now decided he's going to sit in between us, and he's going to watch and be the main centre star of the show. He's turned up about 25 minutes late. He's come in, made a nuisance of himself, and now he wants to be the centre of the show.
But as a consequence, Bruno's now got up and he's moved and he's sat in front of our script. So we'd like to say that we actually do all of this without any planning whatsoever, but we actually don't.
I mean, if we were that good, then life would be very easy.
It would be, but even the BBC use auto cues. So, in fact, that was interesting. Do you remember when they were outside and they couldn't use the auto cue and they were having to use boards, and they kept stopping and looking at the boards? And we're thinking, if they're doing that on national telly, we ain't doing so bad in our little front room on Zoom, I tell you.
Well, we've just been told that he's a lot more cuter than us two.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
Well, I don't know.
I mean, you're the pretty one anyway.
I mean, you said it, not me.
Not as pretty as a dog, obviously.
To be fair, he is a miniature sheep. That's what he is. He's a micro sheep. But now, we had George come on the show a couple of weeks ago, and we had a socially distanced meeting one evening this week. Now we're allowed to go to a pub, and we're allowed to go to the gym, and we're allowed to go outside and everything. And we have come up with some preliminary plans. So we better let you know what they are.
Well, we're waiting on some permissions to get everything together, but it's looking like we're going to put all the dates properly into the Facebook group, and we'll be marketing them anyway. But we're looking at an activity in Warman Manor, which is on the outskirts of Deal, and we'll be combining some history with the updated 5 Senses experiences. We've got one that is going to be at Oxney Bottom Church Chapel, be a similar experience. And we're then building up in August. We're looking at doing a real experience, probably be a weekend event in the trenches at Elam. But we're just waiting get all the permissions and everything together, and we can then confirm dates and costings. Now, these events will be eligible for anyone who's a founder or full member or even associate member to get their discounts on, but they aren't going to be events that you would get your free packages with. Now, we have 2 dates for those activities. And again, we're just confirming those. We get those sorted out, but one will be in July and the other one is in September. So those will be certainly 2 events that your membership will entitle you to come on as part of your membership. But so that's all coming, and we've got a couple of other events. But as I say, we're just getting stuff finalized. We'll be marketing them soon, but they will be part of membership packages, and we're hoping you'll want to get involved with those.
It's exciting. And what else is exciting is we aren't too far away from being able to sort out some proper merch. And we've bought an item with us, apart from the one I'm wearing, which is a one of a kind.
I was modelling it at the Gunpowder Park.
It was being modelled at Gunpowder Park. Hopefully soon, some of these will be available.
We've just paid for the setup fees with a new clothing supplier, so that we hopefully will be able to produce the woolly hats that we've been asked about before with the Chaffinch logo on them. So they should be available. We're obviously the fleeces will be available, and we'll be going to be getting some t-shirts with the circle logo on them as well.
Well, there's 2 separate designs.
I believe there's going to be one with the kind of the circle as on the top left breast, a small version
like this,
and then there's going to be one with a much larger one as the kind of centerpiece. So I believe Ross will be getting the small version, and I'm going to get the one with the front on the front. But we'll be
we can model them both for you.
We will be, but we'll be getting prices for all of those soon.
So if you are wondering if you would like to buy any of it, it isn't too far away. It shouldn't be too much longer now to wait. Now, we suppose we better talk a little bit about next week being a special episode, because April has obviously got this year 5 weeks.
5 Thursdays.
So 5 Thursdays. So we've decided that next week is going to be kind of a celebration of the show itself and how long it's been running. And it's kind of going to just be a celebration of all those videos that we've made and anything we've covered in the past. And we're going to choose a video each or a topic each that we've covered throughout the show in the last 6 months. Yes, we have been going for 6 months.
But we'd like you to pick your favourites as well. And if you've got any favourites from the early days before we started playing around with the video software and adding music and voiceovers and bits and pieces, then we'll take those early videos and we'll give them a bit of love, and we'll hopefully supply them the new deluxe special edition kind of AKA George Lucas Star Wars versions without lightsabers. And
well, I don't know, we could get some lightsabers.
We've probably still got 1 or 2 lying around that we could blow the dust off, I suppose.
Maybe that's get a shield as well, and we'll just have a sword fight.
You've still got your Darth Vader mask,
right? Scrap that idea. We're going to have a Star Wars themed show. We're going to have a lightsaber fight at the end of the show.
We might not have those lightsabers,
and then suddenly one of our members is going to be thrown. My co-host is going to be thrown by the Force to the Lake District.
Yeah,
there we go. The show has been planned. Everyone expects Death Stars and X-Wing fighters
just
next
bring
week.
Bring it down. So, if there's a video that you thoroughly enjoyed, let us know what it is. If it's a recent one, we'll just enjoy it again. But if it's an old one, we'll give it a bit of love and we'll kind of repolish it and get it out. And let's just have a little bit of a celebration of everything that we've done. And then, of course, the week after, we've got Chris Scaife on. Now, those of you eagle-eyed on Facebook will also realise the post went up, I think it was yesterday, it might have been Tuesday, with the link on it to the QI show that he did a couple of weeks ago. So go and check that one out, because he was on about halfway through. We missed his Scaife. So that's cool, but we're really looking forward to Chris coming. Be aware that show might overrun a little bit. I don't think if we're kind of getting a bit close to 9 o'clock and Chris is happy that we're going to stop. So if it runs over a bit, it may do. But on that theme, this was a request. We'd love it if you could get onto the social media and engage with the posts that are going up there, because that'll help us to spread the word. Partly obviously for Chris coming on anyway, but even just spreading the word about the show. We as we said before, we need numbers. We've actually had 2 sign-ups this week.
Which
is cool, which is just steps in the right direction. So we just need to know those numbers. But if you can get on there, engage with our posts, share them out, that would be fantastic. We'd appreciate that an awful lot. So,
are you repositioning now?
Yeah, I think he is. Anyway,
may the Force be with you.
Yes, may the farce be with you.
Well, may the Sparrows be with you. I think that might have to be the catch theme for this week.
It could, or maybe next week. Yes.
Oh, you're going to move across
anyway,
now.
Right? Come on, you. I know we're at 5:02. We're going to be a couple of minutes early, I think, this week. But
I think we are. But we hope you've enjoyed this evening. We've had a great time. We're talking about Sparrows, Gunpowdwer Park, plants, animal of the week. We're running around a garden with a camera trying to chase bees. You name it, we've done it for the entertainment of all of you lovely people at home. And we've had a great time doing the show. So please take us away for the end.
I will. I mentioned earlier that we had a power cut today. And when I first realised that the power had gone off, I thought, oh, no, what am I going to do? Because I can't work without power. I've got no AutoCAD. I've got no computer. There's a little bit of charge in my laptop, but that obviously doesn't fire up AutoCAD. That's on the PC. Obviously, my phone hasn't got much charge. I can't get on the internet with my laptop unless I connect it to my phone, and I'm not entirely sure how to do that. So what you have to do then, same as we did when Christmas got cancelled, is you have to say, it is what it is. And you just have to accept it as a gift that you've been given for a reason. And probably in my case, this was a gift given because I needed a rest. And I haven't got a great deal done this afternoon. I haven't been really constructive. But, you know, I feel an awful lot better for not having been in the office. That's been superb. At Christmas, when it was cancelled, my first thought is, how do I get to the end of this and come out feeling positive? So it's funny. At the end of the afternoon today, I thought, well, has that been a waste of time? I thought, actually, no, it hasn't. It's not my fault. I needed it. Don't need to beat myself up over it. And I think, same as we were saying at the beginning, you know, if we just accept that there's a flow to our life and accept all the gifts that we're offered, even if when we first receive them, we don't actually want them, then again, that's the flow of life. That's the way it is. We don't need to beat ourselves up for these things. We just go with the flow by accepting all our gifts. And then life's easier, life's better. And what else is there? And if you're not sure, go sit in the countryside, somewhere like Gunpowdwer Park, and let the world do its own thing all around you. Thank you very much indeed. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.